Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mind-Blowing Energy and You, bringing the woo-woo to everyday living. I'm your host, Lynn Profit, an energy and life coach at Living Currents Energy and Life Coaching. Mind-Blowing Energy and You is a show that brings what used to be thought of as new age or woo-woo to the forefront of how we live every day. Past and current research has shown us that we're not only made up of energy, but so is our entire world. And there's so much more to who we are and the lives that we live. So let's get into the unlimited world of energy and start living the lives we were meant to. And you can go to my website, livingcurrents.com, and receive a free meditation to help you live a life based in who you really are. And today on our show, we will be chatting with Lorna Selig. Lorna has been part of the Calgary Family and Community Services sector for many years, and her passion for emotional safety and wellness in children and teens is realized in her self-defense and personal safety training company, Safe for Life. And Lorna has been teaching self-defense for nearly 15 years. In 2014, she purchased a successful safety training curriculum and has rebranded and developed the program into a popular workshop that it is today. Corporate, community, security, and school settings are eager to bring Safe for Life message to their people. And Lorna wants to share this personal safety information with all individuals, but especially with children and young women who may find themselves inadvertently at risk and are most vulnerable. Education and information is the best way to reduce the incidence and statistics of assault and victimization. And besides all that, she loves to get a few punches in with the blue man every chance she gets. And Lorna, I have seen the blue man, and that is quite an interesting experience.
It is, Lynn. Hi.
Hi. And just before we get started, actually, Lorna, I just want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, which is A Chime for Healing. And it's handcrafted wind chimes tuned to the healing frequencies. So, and man, they're beautiful. Just amazing work, actually. So yeah, give a quick shout out to them. But welcome, Lorna, and it's so great to have you here today.
Thanks, Lynn. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so Lorna, Safe for Life. Okay, tell us a little bit about what you do and how it benefits your clients.
So Safe for Life is a personal safety and self-defense curriculum. And so we teach children as young as 3 about the benefits of protecting themselves, relying on their intuition. At that age, of course, we call it the oh in their tummy. We teach them about keeping private parts private. We encourage parents to attend that session with the younger children. We call that our Safe Tots class. We also have a class for kids between the ages of about 6 and 11, where we teach them a little bit more information about protecting themselves, keeping their boundaries solid, establishing those boundaries, what are boundaries to start with. We have a teen class that we also encourage young people to, we teach that in schools, and the young people are encouraged to come out and practice some, very basic self-defense moves, how to get away from a hand grab or a wrist grab. We talk a lot about the issue of having a safety plan, establishing your personal boundaries, making sure that you are consistent with your confidence and the image that you're presenting when you're in the community, walking around, whether it's a school hallway, whether it's at the mall, the movie theater, swimming pool, wherever you are. We also have programming for adults, for corporate, and we have a seniors class. So we sort of run the whole lifespan, starting at about, we say our classes are appropriate for people between the ages of 3 and 99.
Okay.
So, yeah, and each class is tuned towards those specific age demographics.
Wow, that's incredible, Lorna.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. I love it. And interesting to note, our classes for teens, adults, and seniors are actually taught by City of Calgary police officers, Lynn. So brings a great level of credibility. They're boots on the ground guys and females, men and women, are facilitators. And we people who take our teen and adult classes get to go up against the blue man and see what it really feels like to be attacked. But more importantly, see what it feels like to defeat that attack and get out of it and get to safety. So very powerful, very moving, very lots of times just a real cathartic process for people who have fears about being attacked or have actually been attacked. And it's a great way to kind of work through some of that, the angst, the fear, the trauma. So it's brilliant. I just love watching the transformation of people who start with us and they're, kind of meek and reserved and uncertain and walk out of our classes going, holy crap, I can do this, So it's very exciting.
Yeah, it definitely builds some confidence.
Yes.
Actually, just when you're talking about the blue man and getting a chance to defend yourself, so just explain a little bit more about what the blue man is.
So he is a young, some kind of security professional. So we've got 2 or 3 or 4 young guys that we rely on. They dress in a padded blue suit so that the punches that they feel from the participants, while they aren't the same blow, the same impact, they can certainly feel when a participant will punch them, whether that's a strike of some kind, kick, punch, an elbow, a knee, whatever that might be. The blue man is instructed to be, as part of our courses, he's anonymous because we don't want that familiarity with our participants, right? Because sometimes if you think that you're hitting somebody that you're a bit more reserved, right? So we keep the blue man as a surprise, whatever that means. So he comes in at the end of the sessions. And basically, we set up the scenario on the mats so that he attacks. And he is instructed to maintain that hold on the participant until the participant has kicked or punched or struck, I guess is the word, or screamed loud enough so that in real life, had that scenario been played out, the attacker would have retreated and let the participant go.
Wow. So it is very close to being real life attacked.
Totally. And it's very strategic. It's very, I won't say it's controlled because sometimes people are reliving a trauma.
Yeah.
But it is managed with our instructors who, are very encouraging and supportive and nurturing in terms of people being able to work through lots of times fear and intimidation. And it's a beautiful process actually for people. We have sometimes where a participant who perhaps has been attacked or has been victimized in some way will go up against the blue man 2 and 3 times in a single class, and watching the strength, and I don't mean the physical strength, but the emotional strength and the confidence and the shift that lots of these women and men see in going against the blue man a couple of times, 2 or 3 or 4 times. It's so significant for them and really a great part of their healing journey for many of them.
Yeah, I can imagine actually. That's like you said, not even so much the physical part of it, but the emotional part
Right.
would be incredible, because I personally can't imagine what it would have been like to have been attacked and then put in that situation again, even though it is in a much more controlled, safe environment.
Yeah.
Um, just out of curiosity, do you find more victims are almost freeze in their tracks when put in that situation again, or do you find they actually lash out more, where they're, almost reliving it and having the opportunity to fight back?
Yeah. And so the answer to that, Lynn, is complicated.
Okay.
Lots of it depends if somebody, most often, quite honestly, people do freeze. That is the first response to an attack, right? It's that freeze, flee, or fight
Mhm.
reaction. And most times the first instinct is to freeze. Now, depending on someone who's been a past victim or a target of some kind of attack, depending on their healing journey, will really depend on how they respond.
Okay.
But one of the things that we do in the class to assist people to work through that freezing process is offer the rest of the class, who is formed in a circle around the mats, are cheering that person on and encouraging them and saying, fight, punch him, you can do it, and are clapping and encouraging. And what happens, we find, is that it almost sort of inspires them out of that locked um, uh, scenario, right? And
Yeah.
they can kind of go, oh yeah, okay, I can do this, I can do this. And so again, it's so significant.
Yeah. So, Lorna, I never really thought about it, because I was thinking, okay, self-defense classes, it being so physical, but I guess I didn't really account for the emotional impact, like, that it would have. And, and building somebody's confidence, whether it is somebody that hasn't been victimized previously, but somebody that has been, like, yeah, that step in their healing journey, like you said, would be incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. We have a big piece in our class that we call sort of mental toughness. I like to call it the safety mindset.
Yeah.
Um, and those are the everyday practices that we can do as community members that will keep ourselves safe and um, uh, confident in how
Mhm.
we present in the world. But in our class, when we talk about that emotional piece and that psychological piece
Yeah.
around safety, it is in the same vein as when you think about a fire drill. When you were in school, when you were in high school and you had a fire drill, you can recall that reaction to a fire drill instantly, right? You might get the, ooh, the butterflies, but then you know instantly what you need to do. Even
Right.
now, Lynn, and I mean, you and I, we've probably been out of school forever.
What do you
But
mean? It's just yesterday.
I have. But when you can, when you can recall a fire drill just instantly, you may never have had a fire in your school.
Right.
It may have just been a drill. And it's the same instant response that I want to encourage people to have when we think about what's your safety plan,
Yeah.
right? Somebody approaches you from behind, goes to grab you. What are you going to do? Just like the fire drill, we need to have an instant response to that to keep ourselves safe and protected. Just like when we get in a car
Mm-hmm.
to travel to the grocery store, what's the first thing we do? We put our seatbelt on.
Yeah.
It's the same principles that I like to believe about self-defense. We've got to get our head in the game
Mm-hmm.
of being aware, being alert. It's not about being paranoid. There isn't an attacker behind every tree or behind every doorway, but it's about being conscious. It's about being alert, and it's about being tuned in. And part of what you teach, Lynn, obviously, is about that energetic piece, right?
Yeah.
And obviously we don't want to be attracting drama and trauma and fear in our life. which is why I like to teach self-defense from the perspective of empowerment and confidence and assertiveness, rather than fear and danger and
Right.
and you know.
Yeah, and Lorna, that awareness piece. I mean, for me, that awareness piece is huge, because that steps into how we actually already have the ability to sense or feel that, whether there's something wrong or something's a little bit off. Now, so that's part of what you're talking about is, and how do you teach that?
Well, so teaching people to tune into, so think about a cat, for example. If a cat is frightened, it runs, it bolts, right? The ears go back, the hair goes up, gone, right? Think about a child. Think about how a young child reacts to, mom or dad is saying, oh, go and see Santa, right? If that child isn't feeling comfortable and isn't feeling familiar, they're going to pull back, they're going to resist. And we teach people to tap into that feeling of notice what that is and act on it. You may never be able to prove your instinct is right, but you need to trust it's never wrong.
Oh yeah, good point.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you might, Lynn, walk into a room and all of a sudden you have a feeling of, ooh, this feels really strange. I don't know if you've ever had that experience, right?
Yeah.
You see somebody coming towards you and it might be 8 o'clock at night and you're walking down the street and you have that feeling, right? There may never be an incident that happens to you based on that, but feel it, recognize it, know it, and be alert to it so you can give yourself the space that you need to stay safe.
Yeah.
And again, there may never be an incident or an attack that comes from that feeling, but something about that interchange, something about that communication with that person is alerting you to an alarm, right? Might be good, might be bad. Same with intuition when we talk about, is this right for me? Is this not right for me?
Right.
Right? It can be, our body knows, right? We know whether or not something's good for us or something's not good for us. And we can use that in all kinds of situations, both when we talk about safety, but also when we talk about decision-making in business or, decision-making in a social setting, right?
Yeah.
So it's tapping into our intuition and trusting it. We as adults very often kind of go, oh, I'm just being stupid. Oh, it's nothing. It's okay, right?
Yeah.
But when we go back to thinking about how do animals react?
Right.
How do young children react?
Yeah.
That's what we need to recall so that we can keep ourselves safe. And sometimes it's just a matter of just taking a step to the side, right? If you're in a lineup and all of a sudden you're going, ooh, this feels really creepy, take a step to the side, give yourself some space.
Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, it does fall into more of, I guess in a sense, it's the connection to the energy around us. Absolutely. And if it doesn't really match with us, paying attention to that. And you must have heard, like you were talking about, whether you can prove your intuition or not, but you must have heard several stories of people saying they were in situations where they just went, oh, something's not right, and they left, and possibly something happened.
Yeah.
So there are times actually where, people trusted their intuition and were able to get themselves out of a situation.
I hear it all the time. I have a really interesting story of a situation that happened in a mall where a woman was sitting in the food court. And she's a woman she's the mother of a woman that you and I both know, actually, Jackie McClanagan's mom.
Oh.
Was sitting in a food court in the mall. And she had just gotten her food or coffee or whatever it was, and was kind of looking around, and she noticed a young girl, just maybe 15, 20 feet away from her, was sitting there having her lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then she looked around a little further and realized that there was a man who had zoned right in on this young girl, was watching her, was watching her, was watching her. And so my friend realized that that kind of watching wasn't a friendly father watching over daughter, wasn't brother watching over sister, wasn't boyfriend watching over girlfriend.
Yeah.
She had the intuition that this was creepo watching over victim. And so she tuned into it. And, after a short period of time, the young girl got up, put her tray on the bin, and started walking down the mall. The man who had been watching her, creepo, left his table and bolted after her.
Oh.
Followed her quite quickly. Well, my friend, all of a sudden, there again, that intuition, she went, oh my God, oh my God. So got up from the table, ran after the girl and caught up to her, came in front of the man that was following her, ran after the girl and caught up to her, and whispered in her ear, she said, someone is following you. Let's go to security. So she steered the girl over to the security desk, and they reported it. Now, at the time, the man disappeared. But the fact that my friend tuned into that situation, recognized what was going on, and really tapped into the energy, Lynn, of creepo watching the girl, and responded to it and interrupted that situation. Now, the truth of it is, Lynn, we don't know what might have happened. Maybe he, liked her shoes. Maybe he was a model agency. Maybe he would, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's what I say when we can't ever prove it right. Or maybe he just had to go to the bathroom at that moment when he got up and followed her. Who knows? The fact of the matter is this, is that my friend saw that going down and just knew that it wasn't going to be a good thing.
Right.
And tuned into it. Now, who knows what may have happened had she not done that, but in my book, I think she probably saved the life, or certainly saved the experience for this young girl. This young girl had no intuition at all that this was going on. She wasn't aware of any of it. So thank God that my friend was tuned in, because stuff like that happens all the time. All the time.
Yeah. And it is incredible, actually. And like the more I listen to you, the more it does just reinforce that, your courses aren't just about the physical. It's so much more. And it does bring into people's awareness more so, even though they don't realize it, and you probably don't talk about it this way, but it is that energy connection.
Absolutely.
We do have more than the five senses. And, like I speak of energy it's like learning a different language.
Yeah.
And, actually it's more so like a language that we knew as a child and then we're taken out of it. So we still have part of it, but it's almost like we have to relearn it.
Yep.
And so, I can see so much of what you do having such an energy aspect to it.
Yes.
And that awareness piece and trusting your intuition is huge.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible, Lorna. Now, just quick question for you is actually, what's your personal motivation behind what you do?
So I have, I've had a couple of incidents where I have been attacked, or certainly where my experience of innocence has been interfered with. I was just a few weeks shy of my 17th birthday, And I was attacked at a outdoor event by someone that I knew. And at the time when that incident occurred, I didn't have the language, and I didn't have the words. I didn't have the experience to really be able to handle what happened for me. So I did nothing. I told no one. I did nothing. I brushed myself off and went back to the party and told no one until I was about 25 years old, when a similar situation occurred again. And it was at that stage that I thought, hey, wait a minute. First of all, I need to do something different so that this doesn't keep happening for me.
Right.
But secondly, what is it that is going on in our society that makes it okay for somebody to be able to do that to somebody else? So whether that's a bully situation, whether that's an assault situation, whether that is a gang fight kind of scenario. But at that stage, I was, in my career in community and social services, and was working with young people who were oftentimes in marginalized situations. And so I could relate to some of that stuff that they were going through. And I started just looking real hard for a tool that I could use to teach these young people about confidence and empowerment, and how to not be a victim, how to not get into that situation. Lynn, my doorbell is ringing. They've come in. I apologize. We can cut that one out. Sorry, Lynn. So
we're gonna leave it in because that's just funny.
Oh God, this is terrible. This is my kitchen rental story of my life. But when I realized that, and then I found this curriculum that was actually written by a City of Calgary police officer, and all of a sudden the lights went on, and I said, "This is it. This is exactly what we need as a society, as a community, as people old and young."
Yeah.
To start having this conversation, because that's what it is a conversation. And it's simple everyday strategies that, like, honestly, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's just the way that we show up in the world. It's the way that we act and behave when we're out and about. That doesn't mean that there isn't bad stuff that happens to people. My God, it happens all the time. Mm-hmm. But I just believe that we can lots of times make the experience of it different for ourselves if we are tuned in and kind of conscious of our environment, and able to really take a few little simple basic steps, and we can just change our experience.
Yeah, very true, Lorna, very true. That is just absolutely an incredible story. We're just about out of time, but Lorna, I would love to have you back, first of all, because Perfect. I still have so many questions for you.
Awesome.
But is there anything actually else you want to add before we go here?
Well, Lynn, I'd like to direct people, if I could please, to my website, which is www.safe4, that's the number 4, life.ca, so safeforlife.ca. And you can contact me through there, or certainly send me an email at info@safeforlife.ca. And for our viewers today, I'd like to offer a 20-minute just personal safety plan consult, and where we can just develop a quick little commentary and a little strategy for folks, so that going forward in their lives, they can have just a little cloak of protection and a little bit of a bit more insight into how they can kind of manage themselves. So if they want to do that, they can contact me through my website again, www.safeforlife.ca. And That's it. It's been a great pleasure, Lynn. Thanks for interviewing me. This has been really fun. I appreciate your time today.
Well, thanks, Lorna. This has been great having you. And just so everybody knows, I will put a slide up with Lorna's contact information. And Lorna is out of Calgary, but for a 20-minute consult that she's offering, which is amazing, I'm sure you can do it through different avenues as well. Correct, Lorna?
Yes, for sure.
I didn't want to make something up for you.
Yeah, no, we can.
By the way,
however it works. Yep.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here today. This is Lynn with Mind-Blowing Energy in You, bringing the woo-woo to everyday living. And I'd like to thank our sponsor for today, Chime for Healing, the custom-built wind chimes tuned to healing frequencies. And next actually will be my own podcast, actually with looking at some of the current and past research actually in quantum physics and how it affects us today. Wow. So yeah, well, Lorna, you're going to have to tune in for that.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. Well, everybody go and have a great day, and we will see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.